What was your turning point in realizing that traditional diets weren't the answer?
I tell people I was one meatball sub away from that morbidly obese BMI level. My doctors had said, you can't move, you can't exercise, so you're probably going to die in the next few years. My therapist said, I'm not talking you into dying young. Why don't you use that brain of yours and go figure it out? I tell
Hi, I'm Glennis Woods Mullins, and I love to help women to vibe, to be more vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and empowered in midlife. So come on, let's vibe. One of the favorite things that I get to do working for myself is I get to decide who I want to work with. That's one of the best things. And I'm so glad that I get a chance to work with Sheila Kelty. She is absolutely amazing. If you're looking for something really different when it comes to your weight loss journey, you definitely want to consider Sheila Kelty's program. In fact, they call her the undiet coach because that's one of the first things you're going to learn about her is that she's out with the diet thing. She's an elite class master health and wellness coach, and her passion is partnering with clients just like you listeners who are looking for a breakthrough, for a change in their old health barriers, and basically having a lifelong optimized wellness program that's going to empower them to build an effortless relationship with food and their bodies. And boy, is that important when we are going through this midlife journey. So, Sheila, thank you so much for being on the Vibe Living podcast. It's wonderful to have you here today.
It's wonderful to be here, Linus. Thank you for having me.
You know, it's so funny. We've worked together before, and I didn't even realize that you had not been on the podcast. Each time we talked about it, and we didn't get a book. So this is a special pleasure to have you here.
Oh, it's
So
my pleasure.
I know your story, but there might be some listeners who do not. So please tell us our story and why you are so passionate about the idea of getting rid of diets.
Well, it started in my early 50s. I had just gotten done with a series of my first 12 spinal surgeries. I had spinal collapse. I was in an electric wheelchair, had 6 more after that. I'm fused from my neck down to my lumbar with very few places left that don't have fusions. And I had kind of given up. I'd allow myself to get morbidly obese. I tell people I was one meatball sub away from that morbidly obese BMI level. And I just surrendered. I just said, I'm going to die early. My doctors had said, you can't move, you can't exercise. So you're probably going to die in the next few years. I was severely diabetic. My lupus was out of control and a couple other autoimmune things going on. And there was no hope of me ever getting up and walking or doing anything again. They actually sent me to a therapist to help me adjust to I was going to be dying soon because they felt I was being the fly in the ointment, the squeaky wheel. Just stop making it hard for everybody else. Just accept, make the most of the time you have left. My therapist said, I'm not talking you into dying young. Why don't you use that brain of yours and go figure it out? In my previous life, I'd run an IT firm, a technology firm, and 75 employees and, power woman out doing everything. And I had to walk away from all of that when my spine fell apart. And he's like, this guy knew me well. He said, you're not the kind of person who gives up. What's going on? So my doctors walked away. They shrugged. They walked away. My now ex-husband walked out. He said, I'm not doing this anymore. So there was me in an electric wheelchair waiting to die. And I got on my laptop one night, and in the middle of the night, as these things come to us in the middle of the night when we're up looking through the whole world, I came across a way that really spoke to me. Now, I had tried 35 different diets over the last previous 10, 15 years of my life, trying to get a hold of this out of control weight gain that I'd had. I tried being a vegan for a while, but the VEG part of vegan had been lost. The veg part had been lost on me. I was a carbitarian. Rice, bread, pasta, they're all
I think
vegan,
we all
but
have been through that. Yes.
vegetarian phase, yeah. Plant This is going to save my life. Well, it didn't. It actually made my diabetes much worse. I tried gluten free. That made me much worse. Everything was just making me sicker and sicker and sicker. And as I got sicker, I got bigger and it was out of control. I didn't even have to eat and I would be gaining weight. I didn't know where that was coming from. I'd gone through early menopause with a full hysterectomy and oophorectomy at the age of 40. So I was, very early having menopause. So there was that weight that happened in at age 40. And now I was around 52, 53 years old. And I was up and I was listening to this man talking about stopping dieting, that diets don't work. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy's speaking my language. I went back to that video. I'm like, what's he talking about? And he was saying that he jumps out of bed like a sixth grader and can eat whatever he wants. And I'm just like, tell me more. Because it spoke to me, because diets do not work. Diets are white knuckling it through however long you are until you can get to the other side and get back to your foods. And that doesn't work. We all know that doesn't work. And it was about using food as medicine and using mindset shifts. Had nothing to do with all the working out that my doctors wanted me to do that I couldn't do from a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair at that. And it was all about changing your body chemistry and educating yourself about how this thing works,
Mm.
getting the user's manual for this. Well, I jumped on and I said, I've got nothing to lose but the weight, everything to gain. I can maybe get a few more years of my life back. That was my only goal at the time. My diabetes went away within 6 months completely. I went from 5 different diabetes medications and A1C, that the number that tells you historically what your blood sugar levels are. Normal is around 5.5 and below. Pre-diabetic is around 6. Diabetes officially starts for anywhere from 6 to 6.2. I was at 9.8. I was super diabetic and I had all kinds of vision problems already, neuropathy, all kinds of hitting in my pancreas. And I lost part of my liver to my lupus was out of control. All of that started clearing up. No medications, didn't need anything, went from 23 medications down to 2. The weight was just flying off of my body. Pretty soon I wasn't even obese anymore. And I was up out of my wheelchair. I now walk around just fine. I can't walk for a long time. I do have a manual wheelchair. I have had 18 spinal surgeries, and sometimes my spine doesn't want to cooperate, but I got my life back. And I look like my own granddaughter compared to what I look. You know my before pictures. I mean, insert whatever pictures you want at any point. People can't believe I'm the same person. They have to like see my ID and see my before and after pictures. And the transformation I thought would be about getting back to my jeans,
Mhm.
or having revenge on my ex-husband who walked out and looking really good. The best revenge is looking good in your jeans. And my dream outfit was a white, crisp button-up shirt, the collar shirt, tucked in with a belt, jeans, and little kitten heel boots. This is like my dream outfit. And I wear that now. That's like
Wow.
the clothing that I wear. It's a cold day here in Portland and I've got my turtleneck on, but I can wear whatever I want to wear. Even my cellulite went away. All of
Which
it.
is
It
amazing.
was like grapes hanging off the back of me and they're gone. And it all has to do with getting healthy first, and then the weight comes off naturally. Your body doesn't want to be overweight. Your body doesn't want to be obese. That's a disease. Obesity, ladies, it's a disease. And at some point, the disease takes over and you're gaining weight out of nowhere and you don't know what's going on, and nothing you're going to do in the traditional conventional dieting realm is ever going to work. That is a $72.5 billion a year industry. It's gone up by about 10 billion a year because of Ozempic and all of the
Mm.
shots and the GLP-1 inhibitors. And they only succeed when their bottom line goes up. And their bottom line goes up when you need to go back and be a repeat customer. They need you to fail so they can keep making money for their bottom line and their investors
Yeah,
and
this
their
is true.
shareholders.
This
Yeah.
is absolutely true. Now, I know you talk a lot about, food is medicine
Mhm.
and kind of rebooting basically our
Mhm.
overall wellness when it
Yeah.
comes to the process of releasing unwanted pounds.
Mhm.
But talk a little bit about how the mindset enters into that.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I can tell you, people, the first thing people ask me is always, well, what's the food list? Let's get going. Give me my food list. Give me my meal plan. Because it's all diets are about, here's your food, go eat it.
Hmm.
Right. We all know that doesn't work because unless you work on what's going on up here, how you feel about yourself, your self-compassion levels, whether you feel like you deserve to be healthy, whether or not your sugar addiction is under control. It's a highly addictive substance. It's not a joke. It is as addictive as heroin and cocaine combined, and it's got a hold on you. And then one of the first things we do is to break that hold, that addictive hold. And then all the food noise stops and all the needing to snack stops and all of the scrounging for snacks at night and it all goes away. And you sleep well and you feel healthy and you feel calm and your cortisol goes down. All of those things happen when you get healthy and get off all the sugar. So the mindset part of it is what allows you to make those choices on those food lists and in those meal plans. To take those lessons that we learn in the reboot program that I have about teaching you how your body works and all of that so that you understand it. And I watch my clients do the most amazing thing. And you've heard me say this before, but it's when it goes from them on session saying, I miss my, let's see, like popcorn at the movies, or I miss my chocolate after every dinner. We used to sit around and have chocolate. Is it chocolate good for you? And trying to have the sweets and the treats and the everything, and I miss and I can't have it. I can't have it. Oh, my pizza. I miss my pizza. They go from that. And there's real grief to having to give up a lot of the things that we know are not good for us. All right. But it's a grieving process because that's our comfort zone and everything. But we make the shift from I can't have that to I won't put that in my body anymore. When you learn why it's bad for you and you work on your self compassion to raise your standards of what you're willing to put in your body and what you're not, the decisions are a snap. It's not even a decision. It's like, well, yeah, I can stand in line in the morning at the coffee shop. I walk my little dog and we go up, we get coffee. It's Portland. You can throw a rock in at a coffee shop.
Hmm.
And but they line you up in front of the pastry case, right? Because they want
Right,
you to get some.
absolutely. Mhm.
And you sit there, you drool, and you see people just like, oh, just like looking at the pastries. But I don't. I'm like checking out my emails and I get up there and then I get it and I leave and I don't even, it doesn't even call my name anymore.
Wow, that's
It's
amazing.
peace.
And you're right. That result has to do a lot with your mindset. And the other part you mentioned earlier about you share a lot of information in terms of, what these foods that we love that we know aren't good, but what they're actually doing and how they're
Mhm,
waylaying our weight loss results.
mhm,
So I could see how that could be a good thing to be able to master. But
mhm,
sometimes people have problems with getting to that point. They got the
mhm,
information, and now you know how they say information is powerful, but acting on the information is what makes the difference. So, how do you help women get to that point where they're ready to actually act on the information instead of just gathering it all and still not quite doing it?
It's a great question. The very first week on my program, people are, like I said, they're saying, what's my food? Give me my food, give me my food, because that's what we're used to in diet culture. We start with mindset. We don't start with the foods. We start with the education and the mindset portion. And the very first thing I ask people to do is simply stop snacking. Just stop snacking. Just have your 3 meals, a nice amount of time in between each to let your body rest and digest. And and people say, well, how much can I eat? And how many ounces and how many carbs and how many this and how many calories? It's like eat until you're full. I'm like, really? One lady said, but I like having 2 steaks. I'm like, I have 2 steaks. Just have, from acceptable foods, not from sugary foods and everything. We give some basic standards of what to choose from, but eat until you're full. And I teach them how to get back to what full and hungry are. But we've
Mhm.
lost that in this country, especially. We are the most fed people in history, and we eat by the clock. 8, I need breakfast. It's 11, I need second breakfast. It's 1, I need lunch. It's 3, I need my afternoon cookie. It's 5, I need this. It's bedtime, I need that. And it screws up our hormones because most of weight has to do with mind and hormones, what your mind's telling you to do. And your mind actually tells your hunger and satiety hormones a lot of what they end up doing. That's why Food Network is so dangerous for some of my very obese clients who watch it like food porn. I had one guy who's like, bite that burger, Bobby Flay. He was just like watching I'm watching my food porn. He wasn't losing weight. And it really is that eat with your eyes, your body. He was staying addicted to all the foods from watching it.
Mm.
It was feeding him he was feeding his addiction complex. When he walked away from that, the weight just fell off of him and he lost weight very, very quickly. So it's so much goes on in your brain. You can inform yourself whether you're hungry or not. You can inform yourself of what you're willing and not willing to eat. The sensation of thirst is the same as sensation as hunger. That same growling in your tummy. Sometimes you just need a glass of water.
That,
So
absolutely. It's amazing how
we
much hydration
learn,
is
yeah.
important.
And then we get into the meal planning, and then we get into all of that. 'Cause to do that first is cart before the horse. That's where diets fail. And it was so easy. Like week 3, they're saying, I went to a party and I didn't even want to have any of the food. And I did the preparation exercise before I went. I did the mindfulness exercise and preparation. And when I got there, people were like, wow, you look great. And I knew what to do and I felt confident. And every time you do that, I'll share something really that's in depth, that's really a cool thing that I've been doing lately. It's very powerful. Have you heard of your self-trust bank?
No, tell us about it.
Your self-trust bank is how you've heard trust banks, like when you want to trust someone, every time they do something that's trustworthy, they're making a deposit
Mhm.
in your ability. They're raising their balance of trust in you. So if you meet a guy and he does trustworthy things, every time he does, you trust him more. Well, it works really well on ourselves as well. So if you're going to that party or you're going to that event or on a date or whatever it is, a family gathering, and you make good, healthy, supportive choices, you stick with the I won't put that in my body, and you're truly okay with what it is you're choosing to have, and you enjoy yourself and you enjoy your company, when you're leaving the event or the date or whatever, you can say, I'm so proud. You see how you kind of say, I'm so proud of myself. I did a good job. That's a deposit in your trust bank. Then the next time you go to an event, you trust yourself that you are going to be able to support yourself and be there for yourself in those moments. So then you do even better and easier. And by the third, fourth, fifth time, it's a snap. It's that effortlessness. Because I eat whatever I want. I go wherever I want. You can drop me in the middle of any kind of Italian restaurant, pizza place, whatever, any country, any time of day or night. I'm fine. I don't think about food all day long. I just eat when I'm hungry and I eat what I want. I can eat up to 4,000 calories a day and I can't gain weight. It's hard for me to gain weight. My metabolism is so set at the set point it's at. And we help you get to that set point and get that metabolic security going on.
And you mentioned hormones, and that kind of brought to mind another question. Because most of my listeners, the average age is between 45 and 55 women. That's the
Mhm.
majority of my listeners. Where does menopause come in with all of this when it comes to the hormones going up and down, the weight gain? How do you manage all of that when you're working with women? Or is that a factor?
It is a major factor, but it's not the factor of simply time has gone by and your hormones have shifted. People think of it, well, ding, my timer's gone off. I've got menopause. Now I've got these things I've got to deal with. It's not that simple. Hormone creeps up very slowly. There's a process to it. There's signs and symptoms you can look at. But there's a lot of things having to do, for instance, with your gut and how your hormones are balanced, especially estrogens. They've discovered something called an estrobolome. So the
Mm.
microbiome is your microbes in your body, these different kinds of bacteria and viruses and all the different good guys and bad guys and germies that run our bodies, our second brain. And they each have a different one for different things that they do that control different things. And there's one for estrogen called the estrobolome. Now we think of menopause being our ovaries shut down and that lake of estrogen we used to have that lived down in our lower abdomen suddenly gone. Like it all comes from our ovaries. Psh, there's a lake of hormones gone, or it's just a drip. It's kind of how we're taught in school about how all that works, right? That's pretty standard. We think that's where it happens. Well, estrogen's really produced in dozens of parts of your body, primarily from your adipose tissue, from your fat and certain kinds of fat, which is one of the reasons why we gain weight around our bellies during that time, because belly fat in general, we were talking about this yesterday, that the kind of fat that builds up around our hips, thighs, and belly is part of our fertility cycle. And it's the easiest to access fat for energy when we're having babies, right? So there's that energy on board to create ketones for long-term energy for us. And when your body's building that up, the other thing it produces is estrogen. All that, the jiggly fat that we hate so much, it's around our bellies, it's producing estrogen. That's one of the reasons why that comes up during menopause, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that in our estrobolome, the estrobolome goes out and grabs the estrogen that's being produced by our adipose tissue, and different parts of our body producing estrogen everywhere, and organizes it and gets the estrogen out to where it's needed in different parts of our body. Things like homeostasis with our body temperature, why we get the hot flashes and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Maybe you need some help there. So let's grab some estrogen and progesterone, and it organizes all of that. So if your gut's not healthy, your estrobolome's not going to be happy, and you're going to have disorganized estrogen and have a whole bunch of symptoms. Remember I told you I had an oophorectomy and hysterectomy at
Mm-hmm.
40? I woke up in menopause out of that surgery. It was just like hot flashes galore. I mean, it's a horrible thing when that happens to a woman. If it happened, the same thing had happened to me today, I wouldn't have had to gone through that. It's just so long ago. I'm 62 now, so that was 22 years ago. 62. My only saving grace is I know I don't look 62. So it's like,
Absolutely do not. Absolutely do not.
well, I used
No.
to look 72, so it's great. Anyway, so I don't take hormone replacement therapy, and I haven't had a hot flash or a night sweat or any of those things in about 5 years. Since I started, I'm a gut microbiome specialist. I have certification in that as well. And that's one of the things that we learned during all of that. And lo and behold, when you do take care of your gut, it can help control all of that homeostasis that we require in keeping from having the night sweats and it's mostly temperature things, metabolic things, which also affect how we process and how we burn fat and what we burn. When one hormone is off, it's whack-a-mole.
That's right.
One's down, one's up, one's up, one's down. So when that happens, we put on weight very, very easily because your body's distressed. So it stops removing fat from your body because you're in stress. Uh-oh, we better hold on to the energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's something going on. And that's why you put on weight out of thin air. You say you woke up, it's like, whose body is
Yep,
this?
literally. That was absolutely true for me. I turned 64. This was about 3 years ago, and I've always been underweight. And so at 64, I wasn't underweight, but I was still thin. And one morning, it feels like I woke up one morning and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, whoa, oh,
Heck is this?
things
Yeah.
everywhere that I
Well,
didn't have before. But one of the things that people always want to know when they
mhm.
come across these programs is not if it will work, but how long will it work? Tell us a little bit about that. When they get the results, what can they expect like 6 months later?
Well, I have clients that I check back with up to 3 years later, and they're the same weight. Every year, at the end of the year, I call up my, I think 87 some odd existing clients that finished the program. And they're like, no, I'm good. I'm like, "What do you mean you're good? It's fine. Do you need
Wow.
me for it?" They're like, "I'm fine." But there was a change that I made recently about that people needed more long-term care and something that lasted longer than the 16 weeks that we provide them. But this is not a diet. This is not get to the end of the 16 weeks and then go back to what you were doing before because you're just going to put the weight back on. That whole I won't put that in my body philosophy, how you look at food, how you think about sleep and how it affects your weight. If you're not getting sleep, you're not losing weight, all of that. When we educate you about the big holistic picture, there's 360-degree set of holistic solutions that come together to make this permanent, to make this something that is an effortless, permanent weight loss. I've kept my weight loss. My weight has been the same within 5 pounds up and down for 5 years. And sometimes I think, oh, maybe I should jump on the scale. It's like, oh, I'm down 2 pounds. It's just, all
What
right.
about that?
I have jeans on right now that I've been wearing for 5 years and they're torn. I wear them. It's like I don't have fat jeans and skinny jeans and all that
Hmm.
anymore. I'm not worried about things going up and down because remember, we had that shift that I won't put that, and people don't cheat on that. We don't have cheat days on my program. There's no such thing as cheating on your health. If
Mm.
you're in a stopping smoking program, there's not a day when everybody wants to smoke. It's just,
Which
yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Now,
yeah.
one of the things I just want to make sure I share with my audience is that Sheila is one of the contributors on the V.I.B.E Wellness Woman Network. And if you don't know about that, all you have to do is click on the link there on the show page. The V.I.B.E Wellness Network is a community of women over 40 who want to vibe, to be more vibrant, more intuitive, more beautiful, and empowered. And Sheila is one of the 12 contributors that I started out with that share their expertise with the community. And Sheila's going to be doing workshops there on the community, but more specifically, for those people who really want to get more into your programs and find out more, what's happening in the world of Sheila Kelty? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
The best way for them to reach out to me is either go to the vibewellnesswoman.com membership. Do it. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful place. You can take the free classes and do things. And there's also, even within that, a way to take the next step and do a 6-week program to see, is this something that works for me? And we have a super discount through the V.I.B.E Wellness Woman Network for people who join in our members. I get them 40% off that 6-week program. And people can lose up to 15 pounds on that
Wow.
6-week program.
Sheila Kelty is the person you definitely want to talk to when it comes to getting rid of diets and getting rid of that setup behavior that gives us non-results and really being able to thrive in your health because it's more than just about losing the weight, it's about being healthy.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to mention on the network as well that if you come after one of these events have happened, there is a replay link. So if
Right.
you weren't able to join to hear, because the first one's called How to Lose 30 Pounds by the Holidays, it's like in a 3-4 month period of time, how to be
Wow,
able
is
to
that
do that.
amazing? That's
You
amazing.
can.
Yeah,
It
I'm
happens
going.
all the
I
time.
myself am going to that workshop for sure.
And
Absolutely.
you can't over lose weight. That's another one that women who are older always ask us, oh, I don't want to lose too much weight. I want to hold on to a little bit of weight at my age. I want to have a little bit of reserve,
Mm-hmm.
in there for if I get sick. And people are concerned about frailing and getting too thin and losing muscle mass. That does not happen. I want everybody to hear this. When you use food as medicine, when you use the health of your body to naturally drop weight, your body pulls in where it needs to pull in. It does so naturally. You don't set a number, get to that number, and you push and push and push your body and starve yourself to get there. That's diet mentality. We're undieting you. We're getting you back to when you are healthy. Your body doesn't want to be overweight either. It wants to get rid of it. The trick is to give it what it wants. And then it's like, well, what does it want? And that's what I teach you in
Absolutely.
the program. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you as a contributor of the V.I.B E Wellness Woman
I'm
Network. It's been
excited to be there
wonderful
too.
working with you. And you really want to reach out to Sheila because she is truly an expert. And when we say master health coach, we're not just saying that. She has that designation as a truly master in what it is that she does. Sheila, it has been wonderful having you here finally on
Oh,
the
it's
V.I.B
been a
Living
blast.
Podcast. Yes,
I
thank you
can't
so
believe it took
much.
us so long. We've known each other for such a long time. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
having me. I hope this gave a little hope to someone. There's a lot of hopelessness around weight loss out there. There's a
Mhm.
lot of not knowing where to turn and you just want to give up. Don't give up. At whatever
No,
age you are,
absolutely.
whatever size you are, if you are listening to Linus, you're in the right place. You're getting the right information. And please reach out. There is hope. I didn't think I had any. And,
And as they say, look at
yeah,
me now, as they say.
yeah, look at me now.
Thanks so much, Sheila. And thanks to
Thank
all
you,
of
Linda.
you who have chosen to listen to the Vibe Living podcast. Thanks to you, we are now in the top 10% globally of podcasts. There's like
Congrats.
3,300,000 podcasts out there. So we're somewhere in the top 300,000, which is better than being at the bottom half.
Wonderful.
So I'm very proud of that. And I really do want you to take a look at not just this podcast, but we've got some great podcasts on here that we've been doing this year. Really, some great topics, as they say, from A to Z. So check it out. If you really like what you've been listening to, please like. I would love to hear your comments. Subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these episodes. Thanks so much for listening. It's been wonderful to be here today. Have a fantastic rest of the week. And don't forget to vibe. Bye bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Vibe Living Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share this podcast. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe. Bye bye, everybody.